The Square Ball Podcast.
Excuse me. Well, hello and welcome to Propaganda. Dan here with Michael, with Moscow, in a show that's brought to you in association with Levi Solicitors. Michael, we mentioned on the match ball over the weekend that it's time to reinvent the act.
Mm-hmm.
The backlash has started to your Will's probate conveyancing chat.
It was always going to come.
Yep.
I'm ready to ride it out. Will's probate conveyancing, get 10% discount.
You've got to now forget the other stuff that they do, haven't you? Is that not part of the act? Is that not the shtick?
But I know all the other stuff they do, and so does everyone else because I've listed it many times.
Yeah.
Like lasting powers of attorney, for example. Licensing, personal injury, medical negligence, all these things are available.
10% discount on your legal fees. LeviSolicitors.co.uk/the square ball to get your discount. Right, into Propaganda there, where we dive into the fan channels around the football world, obviously through a Leedsy lens. What have you got for us this week on the journey? Take us on a journey, Michael.
To Huddersfield?
Take us on a journey, Michael.
We'll go to Huddersfield first.
Right.
That's where we played, wasn't it? Brad Barbs, we've heard from him before. This is him inside the ground, and this is the realisation that it is Oggy what's been sent off.
Not even been fully watching. Pearson's been sent off. Oggy! It's Oggy! On a hog sent off. But for what? Zed! Fuck you!
Not on the pitch, is he?
No, he was. It's Oggy. It's Oggy. I mean, Oggy deserved it.
Yeah, Firpo didn't.
No, we'll have someone shifting blame onto Firpo in a little. Well, us in general, actually.
Right.
In a little while.
Has he got a pointy chin?
Go on. Oh, with the.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something.
I see what you mean now. Yeah.
About Firpo's chin seems to upset Jonathan Hogg. I don't know if it was too pointy, if it was in the wrong place, if it reminded him of Bruce Forsyth and he has just like terrible flashbacks to something he's seen on the television too often. I don't know.
Next clip then, Michael. Who is it?
We'll stick with Brad Barbs, and it's Bamford's just scored, and a bit like Leicester the other week, you know, they were saying we shouldn't be celebrating goals and stuff.
Yeah. It's one of those new directives, isn't it? Now we've hit the mid 2020s.
It's funny because
you're not allowed to have fun anymore.
He got some footage of Huddersfield scoring a goal, and he celebrated loads.
Yeah.
And then when Leeds scored and started celebrating loads next to him, because he was in the bit just near the Leeds fans.
Is it the cowshed massive?
Is that right?
Something like that.
Oh, fair enough.
It might be a massive cowshed or something. I can't remember.
Okay. They had some banners that looked vaguely like German ultra-ish, didn't they? I think they're trying to do a bit of that.
Yeah, they'll cosplay.
Fine. But anyway, here he is, not happy with Leeds fans.
Yeah, it was coming. Finally, after 67 minutes, celebrating on the day of their lives.
Day of their lives.
The day of their lives when we got to go to the John Smiths.
Been loads of times.
Yeah.
Sinner's been there a couple of times.
Seen us lose. I think I've told this story before of being in the home end at Huddersfield, and it was a game we'd lost, and in stoppage time when they were obviously leading, there was a Huddersfield fan lying on the floor underneath the seats in the fetal position, just going over and over, please let us beat them, please let us beat them, please let us beat them, unable to watch the game.
Which is of course a proportionate response to winning a football match.
Yeah, I kind of realised at that moment it hadn't occurred, like it hadn't properly sunk in how much it could mean to some people. But then that was very like a very practical demonstration. And then you're there with it, and you know trying to blend in. So it's like, yeah, am I supposed to like burst into tears as well? Should I just start crying like one of those videos of preachers in America where you start speaking in tongues?
Yeah,
Jesus save me, Hoggy save me.
I remember hearing you on...
They've crucified Oggy.
On Radio Leeds with, I think it was with Liz Green.
Yeah.
With a Huddersfield fan ahead of a derby one time. And you were just low-key trolling them by going, no, to be honest, I kind of hope they do win because it means an awful lot to them. And Liz Green's going, you're being very nice, aren't you? And you were just going, well, maybe I am, maybe I'm not, Liz.
Yes, there were some subtle references to sort of kenneling and household pets thrown in as well, which were clearly...
It's a sort of highbrow journalism that BBC Radio Leeds is noted for. It was ironically a little bit like, dogs can hear frequencies that other people can't. Liz Green was not getting any of the subtext to... I think the Huddersfield fans, to be fair, was actually giving some back. Me and him were actually having like quite a low-key raging argument, and Liz is just like, you're getting on so well inquiring after each other's pets. And I was like, well... I think I did say, I think there's some things here that you're not picking up on, but never mind.
That was in, as we face Sheffield Wednesday on a Friday night, that was in roughly around the same time that she got Gary Cooper on to yell about someone attacking Chris Kirkland. And he was just going, well, no, it shouldn't have happened. I don't know what more you want me to say. She was like, you need to do something about this. He was like, well,
what?
I'm not really in control of everyone.
That's the sort of police and the courts jobs, isn't it?
She was under the impression, to catch people, that the head of the supporters trust ran Leeds.
Had ordered him onto the pitch to attack someone.
Well, no, she thought that he had the power to fix it. So he was basically on the radio saying, like, yeah, the stewards need to be doing a better job of maybe stopping something like this from happening because we can't have fans running the pitch. She's like, well, so why don't you tell them not to do it then? He's like, well, I'm trying to through the proper channels. It's like, well, you can just tell them to. And at one point, Gary did, I say, like, I don't work for Leeds United. I work for a supporters representative group. And that seemed to throw the whole thing off. Never mind.
Should we go back to Huddersfield?
Oh, go on then. I can't. Do you know what? It's been such a big day.
Brad's outside. He's outside the ground down. This is just him giving his little summary of the game.
12 versus 10 and you get a result like that. Spot on, Town. Spot on. The new coach is, do you know what? Fair play to him. 2 unbeaten now. Big win against Watford, big point there. Hogg goes off. I've seen mixed views on the tackle. Apparently, some say it's a red, some say it's soft, but things happen. You can't guarantee with the refs. And do you know what? We played our game today. Aside from that, and so proud that we've turned up to a derby day and given it its absolute best. And with the team we've got and the team Leeds have got, I'd be ashamed if I were a Leeds fan from that. Just look at the quality they've brought off the bench. They've brought like Jadon Anthony and Perrault and not a thing from them. So do you know what? I go home today as a Town fan and I'm absolutely buzzing.
Well, that's the end of the show then, isn't it? That's it. We're done.
So the shame.
The shame's just overcome me.
Eating away at you.
Yeah, how a team just couldn't happen to break down another one. I'm not sure I'll ever recover from such a hammer blow. It's a sad day for football, isn't it?
It was. I mean, we should probably have.
Yeah, we should.
We should have been better, shouldn't we?
We got a goal and hit the post.
It's funny the notion that, like, you hear it like, celebrating the day of their lives. They should be ashamed. All this projecting to try and like score points to justify your own ridiculous tribalism. And I'm ridiculously tribalistic about Leeds, but I can also step away from it and see how silly it is. And that's a man being silly, isn't it?
Also, I don't think if you speak to anyone saying there were mixed views on the red card, because he did 2 things that were both, well, the first one's a definite 100% yellow. The elbow is probably a straight red for the majority of the time, but he got a second yellow for it. But like, surely no one's arguing that that's not a yellow card.
Which, I mean, I guess, you might come out of the ground having not seen it, and there will be mixed opinions on it, because there always are. You get sucked along with the emotion of the crowd, don't you? But they did kind of kick the shit out of us.
That and the Pearson one, and I, in my report, got Matty and Ben confused. Ben resides in Preston. Different person, but they were all just straight up fouls. Like, there's not even... They're intentional fouls. It's not like, he was a bit late on that, went going for the ball, caught him, but all 3 of those are just like, no, I'm going to do this player. And that's the kind of thing, you don't need to be too... You don't want to have a game that doesn't have tackles in it, and it is a contact sport. But the existence of the referee having a whistle is so that when a player just decides to do another player, that they can blow the whistle and give a free kick or maybe a yellow card and a red card to stop them from doing it again. So that's what Huddersfield, the tactic is. We'll try and do that as many times as we can without getting too many bookings and getting sent off. And they did pretty well at it. I mean, Pearson was pretty lucky not to get a straight red for the one on Somerville, and Hoggy was good value for his 2 yellow cards. I thought he got. I mean, that's kind of my point on the Firpo one. Is I feel like he may be, because their manager said that he apologised in the dressing room after the game. I think the apology might have been that he did it to our left back. Because what was the point? Do it to Rutter or do it to Bamford. Do it to a player who's going to score a goal. But we don't even if he knocked Firpo out and he had to be go off the game, hopefully with just a mild headache and come back for the next one, not too badly hit, we'd probably all have been like, oh great, we'll get Firpo's off the pitch. So it's
get to see Sam Byram instead.
Yeah, so he really could have. There's that thing of it's a story of lots of red card. People are like, make it count. If you're getting sent off, make it count. And I don't think he made that one count particularly.
They played their game though, which was good.
And a great game it was as well.
It was so entertaining.
And so if I was a Huddersfield fan, I'd be going home beaming and just looking forward to seeing another game like that in a couple of weeks.
I mean, genuinely, it is a very good result for him, and it is actually the best way to play against us.
Yeah.
There's no doubt in it. The teams that have done well against us this year have done exactly this, whereas teams that have tried to play have generally got taken apart.
I think the best way to play against us is the way that Sheffield United played against Arsenal.
I didn't see that.
No, me neither. But I've seen
did.
the others, so I just assumed that the same template is applied from their other absolute hammerings, where they just concede 4 in the first 12 minutes, and Chris Wilder stands there going, "I need more respect."
I put on actually last night a Sheffield United fan channel because I was still looking for little bits of propaganda, but he was just fine. Was the guy who was like, they're just really good, we're really shit. What can you do, really? He's like, when we came up last year with some of these players, I thought some of them might be good enough, but then you see them against actual good players, and none of them are good enough. And
what can you do?
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Saka's just loads better than all of our players, so he just runs past them every single time he gets the ball, and it was a bit sad. It kind of reminded me of us last year when we played against good teams, and you were like, don't know, really. Don't think there's a solution.
The comparison to us last year is probably that the Sheffield United team seemed like a right bunch of knobheads as well. Like, it's not like there's nobody there is fighting. Like, oh, we'll fight to stay in this division. We'll take these defeats on the chin, and we'll try and get back. Just they don't even look like they're arsed. I don't know why they keep turning up. I think a lot of them are like that. They're just like, Chris Wilder's shouting at me all the time. He was kind of saying that. I saw one of his interviews. He thought we prepared well and the players were motivated, so I don't really know what happened. But they're not motivated and they're not prepared well. He's talking about conditioning as well, of like how if you're not physically on the level of some of the other players, and that's kind of going back to us when we had the Bielsa boost and we climbed up to 90s, because we surprised a lot of Premier League teams with our fitness, and then by the time Jesse Marsh had given them all summer off and then used all the different gaps in the season to give them more time off, I think teams were surprised that we were blowing out our asses by an hour and they were picking us off in the last 30 minutes. So, Sheffield United relegated. Hilarious.
While we're at the intersection of Huddersfield and Sheffield, should we see how Warnock's getting on?
Always a big favourite on the show, Neil Warnock. How is he getting on? Because I was very interested to see that they played, was it the next town over from Pennycook, which is Bonnyrigg, isn't it? Close to Edinburgh, where Phil Hay grew up. And that piqued my interest because they won that game in the Cup.
Yeah, they're not winning other than that.
That's it. How
That's
many games?
7 now.
Right.
And he's managed to beat some amateurs, which Rob pointed out, they managed to do that with less than 50% of the possession as well, which is really quite some going. But they lost hilariously this weekend. They were 1-up against St Mirren on the 95th minute.
Well, is this the one they scored in the first minute, didn't they? So they were in front for 95 minutes.
And then St Mirren got a penalty via VAR, which was, seen them give them, seen them not. And then a 97th minute winner, which was delightful. So
I bet he took it really well, Michael.
Well, he wasn't to blame for it, obviously, but I did look at the stats of the game. In that game, which was, as we know, at least 97 minutes, they complete 204 passes, 36 of them in the opposition third, and 12 touches in the opposition box, 31% possession. So a very comprehensive Warnocky type of performance. But of course, it was the officials who were to blame.
You know, does he realise when you've put that much effort in to be stood around for 5 minutes? You know, my lads have got cramp. Are you with me? They're struggling. 3 or 4 of them were struggling. One of them, Richard, who's only come in this morning because we lost Jack this morning. Richard couldn't move. He said 5 minutes ago. He said, "I can't move." You know, and he's supposed, you know, he's marking the lad. They shouldn't be stood about for 4 or 5 minutes on a bloody freezing afternoon for VAR. Mate, it's scandalous.
So VAR making them stand still has caused this defeat. Let me just double check what I'm hearing there.
Correct.
Right.
Also, the Aberdeen climate.
Yeah.
It was in St Mirren, was this?
All right. The Scotland's climate.
And I mean, he's blaming it as well there. Like, obviously, I guess the St Mirren players weren't stood around. They
No.
must have been doing something else. And the lad who
Shuttle
said,
runs, maybe.
the lad who said he told him he couldn't move 5 minutes before this happened, he had subs left to use. If I was a manager and player told me he couldn't move,
Yeah.
I'd probably replace him if I had the opportunity to.
It feels like movement is fairly crucial to football.
But no, he just went, "Oh, fine, just stay on. You'll be all right, won't it?"
Does Warnock have a point? Because St Mirren is located in Paisley to the west of Glasgow, which is a whole... I mean, I'm looking on the map. It's about that far on the map. That's,
Okay,
that's about 3 or 4 inches on my fingers, which feels like a long way.
What, from Aberdeen to there?
Yeah, the climate difference could be...
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, actually, sorry, I've gone further. It's more like 6 inches
Oh, okay.
on the map. It's even further. So I think St Mirren have got an advantage there because they're from tropical climes.
Fair enough. But it may have been the inspiration of Gianni Infantino being there, bizarrely. Yeah, I know. I did the same face. It turned him up. I turned up there and I think it was his own Gianni Infantino's got a YouTube channel.
Sounds fucking
He's gonna watch
unbearable.
Aberdeen. I got confused by all this because I don't know what date it is. So I was looking at a completely different game and I watched highlights of a different game. But and so I couldn't quite marry up. I was like trying to work out why I couldn't find the stoppage time stuff. But then because I saw at the end the highlights anyway ended with Neil Warnock berating the 4th official. So I seen, that must have been it. And now I realise, of course, every game must be ending with him berating the 4th official. But it's interesting, their defeat to Kilmarnock as an example of some of the other problems he's encountering is that he doesn't have an edge in the club. He said, we need an edge in the club. We don't have an edge. They're nice lads.
The bloke out of U2?
No.
Right. I was going to say, if they need a guitarist, I think that they might be able to find one.
Yeah. Anyway.
Is the edge on drums or guitars? I forget.
He's a guitarist. But so the Kilmarnock game was similar.
What is an edge in a club? Does it mean people to kick people?
He means a hoggy.
Right.
He loved hoggy when he was at Huddersfield. He loved brownie. So, yeah, a Chris Morgan type.
Does he need somebody who can just put the letter Y onto the end of their name to create
They must have some.
nickname?
They must have a few.
Well,
But
let's go back to the quote that you interrupted. So, they're nice lads, and I'm not saying they're not trying, but you've got to compete physically with a team like this. We haven't got enough. We've got Shinny, who talks, and that's about it. I think that might be his actual name, but still, there is a Shinny there. We've got to try and give them an edge that they haven't got. They're not nasty or anything like that. How many times did Kilmarnock leave the foot in today, and the referee doesn't do anything about it? Why don't we leave a foot in? Why don't we be a little bit nasty sometimes? It don't do any harm. So we were going to tick off quite a few of the things that you went on to, but
Shinny is his actual name, which is a shame.
Oh,
well, it's a gift for him. It's a gift.
Yeah,
Like
already
Paddy
done.
Kenny, twice. He didn't have to do anything with him.
right. Go on.
But I did find some Aberdeen fans talking about him, though. This is Ali Beg, ABTV. Beggy's talking to Bairdy, who's John S. Baird, who's a TV and film director, as it
Isn't
turns
that
out.
who invented the TV?
John Logie Baird, yes.
Yeah.
That's the very same
Ian's dad.
Right.
man. But he's got Warnock sussed, basically. 7 games in, and it sounds very much like Warnock's time at Leeds.
And the manner of that appointment and the manner of the style of management that has been a circus, really, and a one-man circus who's come in and made it all about him. It's interesting with Warnock, when you see his interviews, okay, if you see his interviews transcribed, look at how many times he says the word I or I've or opinion or It's all about that. It's never we
Yes.
or it's never. It's I think this and I think this and for me it's been a big. He started off by saying, "Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun." We don't want to have any fucking fun. We don't want to have fun. We want to have a decent team that has got a manager that leads by example and can take it on the chin if things are going wrong, right? And doesn't throw his players under a bus and doesn't treat our club like some kind of joke, you know? And primarily coming in at the very beginning and saying, oh, my best mates are, like his first game, right? His first game against Rangers away. Oh, my best mates are all Rangers fans and they'll hear, oh, we'll have a good laugh at night, blah, blah, blah. Started with that shite. And then it started getting a little bit more, okay, scapegoating the players, and I can't see us doing this. And he talks like a pundit, right? He comments on our team as though he's a pundit looking at, and he's got no responsibility for this, right? And for me, this looks as though it's just been a quick jolly for him, a terrible, terrible appointment. This isn't what he's a 77-year-old man who is trying to use tactics that he used back in the 90s with players that some of them weren't even born in the fucking 90s, you know?
Hard to argue with that.
It's a perfect description of it.
Yeah.
He's got him fucking banged to rights.
So some supporting evidence from that Kilmarnock game again. I thought we did all right first half, if I'm honest. Then we gave the goal away. Borgen just slept. He left his man. And then, are you going to change it for the second half? He says, well, instead of being able to do stuff at half-time, which I think is him and Ronnie Jepson's patented
Is it the method?
half-time method, yeah. Instead of being able to do stuff at half-time, all the players are flat because they've just conceded a goal, so you couldn't do anything with them. So
he just went sat in the toilet.
Well, I'm
for
not going
15
to
minutes.
that bunch of miserable bastards. Come on, Jeppo, let's have a cup of tea and leave them to it.
I told him some anecdotes about Adele, and none of them were even laughing. So I just left it.
The part about everything being at arm's length is absolutely spot on. If you listen to how Warnock talks, just that distance he places himself between him and the actual responsibility for sorting it out, doing stuff.
If things had started going well once he arrived, he'd be talking about it in a completely different way. But because he can see he's not turning things around and it's not happening, he's just instantly going, well, I mean, what could I do, realistically? When he came into Leeds and he was like, yes, we can get in the playoffs, he was brought in with the express purpose of, we believe Simon Grayson is failing to get us in the playoffs and this guy's going to do it. And it just got worse and worse. And they straight away went, well, there's nothing I can do with these lads. I know I said in the interview I was gonna, but I can't.
It was the same with us, with Sam Allardyce last season. This is why Frank Lampard is the true inheritor of Warnock and Allardyce, because Allardyce, if he'd have got his £2 million for keeping us up, he would have been the man, I sorted this. But then within 2 games of being, he's like, oh, well, the problems I can see behind the scenes. Like, I'm not going to say anything about it while I'm here, but at the end of it, I'll tell you where it's all gone wrong, because now I'm in. I didn't expect it to be like this until I got in here. So all the other stuff, so he will have told Angus down the phone as he was gulping down the gravy. He's like, yeah, I'll come in, I'll sort it, I'll keep you up £2 million, no problem. £500,000 if I don't, cool. And then he gets in, he's like, oh, I didn't know any of this was happening.
I turned up and they were all sad at getting the prospect of getting relegated. Would you believe it?
What can you say to sad players? Yeah. Nothing. That was even half of his thing. He's like having a joke with the players. I just have a joke with them, trying to cheer them up on the training ground. Me and Pat having a little laugh. Didn't work, did it? Anyway.
All right. So well done, Ali McBeal, for sussing out Neil Warnock.
Back to Huddersfield.
Yep.
So Huddersfield Fan TV, and this is where the Junior Firpo victim blaming begins.
It was a moment of madness, really. But what I will say is that the Leeds players were constantly winding at Hoggleball half, and he just overheated. And yes, we can say, look, he shouldn't have done what he did, and he shouldn't have done it. He should know better. He's an experienced player, you know. And yeah, obviously, ultimately, that's what cost us the game, because I genuinely believe that if we would have stayed with 11 men on the pitch, I genuinely believe we would have won that game. I am disappointed with Hoggy's actions, but it's a mistake. You know, it's a mistake. We're all human. It just boiled over, unfortunately. And like I say, they're a set of wind-up merchants anyway, so they knew exactly what they were doing when they were riling him throughout that first half. And they got what they wanted ultimately, because that's what they wanted. they know what kind of player Hoggy's like.
Yeah, so definitely our fault, isn't it? Yeah.
And also,
Moscow's gone.
It's some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard. How many times have you been sent off now? About 6, 7?
yeah, he's got like 8 bookings this year or something. He gets sent. He gets booked all the time. Well, that's what they say. He even finished on that. Said they know what Hoggy's like, as if like people should make allowances for him. Going, he's an idiot. This guy. We need to make sure we don't upset him in any way. And actually, if you see him near, just pass the ball and get out of his fucking way because he will kick you.
Yeah.
Nobody wound him up, and also they weren't going to win that game.
It's entirely imagined, isn't it? The whole scenario is entirely imagined. Like we were in Hoggy's ear winding him up because they know what he's like. So that's our fault. And he's also projected that they were going to win the game.
Junior Firpo is really a minding your own business kind of guy, isn't he?
Yeah,
like
he's lovely.
He's not got it in him at all to needle people. It just doesn't seem to be his way.
That's where you can imagine in the dressing room before the game, Daniel Farker going straight to Junior Firpo that night. You know what you got to do, Hoggy, who plays in a completely different part of the pitch to you. On him from the start, wind him up.
When he throws his elbow, throw your chin towards it.
Get him overheated.
Yeah,
that's what you need to do. Heat him right up. Hog roast.
That was the title of the post I put on the website for that. Yeah,
was it?
Yeah, hog roast. Yeah.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have won with 11. We would have won with 11. It was going down to 10 made it much more difficult for us because, and I put in my report that Hogg was a better player for them off the pitch. Like the best thing he could have done for Huddersfield's performance was get sent off because it just meant then they didn't have to even think about attacking. So they just try and defend the win, and then when we equalised, try and defend the point, and that worked.
Should we hear some more moaning about a ref?
Oh, yeah.
That referee was they were quite happy to dish out yellow cards for us, but when it was them, they just let them get away with everything. They were, challenges all over the place that should have been bookings, and even we talk about the red card for Hogg. What about Bamford's elbow into Jack Radoni's neck? What about that? Jack Radoni obviously had the ball. He was looking to break, and Bamford just comes over and elbows him. No red card. I'm like thinking to myself, where is the consistency? That was a clear red card, and the referee just ignored it. And it was even by the linesman. So there's no excuse. But the linesmen never do anything. They never intervene. They just stand there and do absolutely nothing. So honestly, the referee, the officials were horrendous. Leeds actually only got 1 booking in this game, and that was after the hour. 63 minutes it was. They got a booking. Routier went into the book. 1 yellow card, and they were lunging in, and there were so many challenges that I was thinking to myself, how is he not getting booked here? And like the Bamford one, how is he not getting sent off? So yeah, look, we know we were always up against the referees. We've always seen it. It's nothing different, is it? We're always up against the referees. They're always against us, and we never get anything from them. Or if we do, we get the odd decision. Okay, fine, but we never get the fair roll of the dice with these referees. So yeah, that was another annoyance that I had.
In your match report, Moscow, you mentioned that this is a town where Neil Warnock is held up as God.
Well, he did start the first thing. He's like, the first clip was like, I can't believe Hoggy got sent off, really.
Yeah, and then again, well, the referees are against us.
I quite like the linesmen's.
Yeah,
it was like men's against boys the other week.
Yeah,
linesmen's against
the ref had a good
boys.
game. The ref had a good game and refereed it, like I think, pretty fairly. Or they don't get everything right, but given some of the performances we've seen this season, he got it about spot on, I think.
Will somebody remind me about this Bamford incident, because I don't remember.
It was when they were breaking out of defence on the left-hand side. I think Bamford cut across. He tried to put his body across the defender, didn't get there. He knew what he was doing. It was a foul, and Radoni just banged into him, didn't he?
Yeah. Equally, Radoni sees him coming and steps into Bamford as Bamford's coming across. So Radoni kind of moves his body in front of the ball because he knows if he does, Bamford will get him. But it's not an elbow. And also, Hoggy only got a yellow for his elbow. He wants a straight red for this non-elbow.
Yeah, which is fair.
But
because they never get the roll of the dice.
No, but I suppose Bamford wasn't as hot as Hoggy, was he?
No,
so
that's true, yeah.
You've got to take into account the thermal properties of people when you're getting them sent off.
There you go, there's your episode title. Thermal properties. There we go. Well, that's
Huddersfield done anyway.
Yeah. They're a strange lot,
with a bit of luck.
What a strange lot.
One way or another, we might not have to play him next year. So
yeah.
That'd be nice, I suppose. Because that was not much fun, that game, was it?
No, I preferred the one at Elland Road. You kind of look forward to these like local rivalries and these derby matches. It's just going to be like that.
Yeah.
At least try.
I mean, at that, and then I watched the Manchester derby, and I did feel, with about 80 minutes gone of that game, that I'd spent most of the weekend just waiting for a goalkeeper to kick the ball, because that's what happened in that game as well. Man United took the lead and then just tried to hold it, and Onana was just completely taking the piss, and it was like, why am I watching this again? I'm watching like a better quality version of the same match.
This is my hobby.
Anyway,
Maybe
should
we
we
need to give the linesmen some cattle prods.
possibly, yeah, hog prods?
Yes. If a player's taking too long to tie their shoelaces, they have two options. Either the game continues or they start getting prodded.
Should we hear something from Leicester Till I Die TV1?
So Leicester Till I Die TV1, last week when we heard the post-Leicester propaganda, they were very jizzy.
A lot of focus on
ejaculation.
On ejaculation,
Yeah.
yes. They lost at home to QPR, a game
I watched that, by the way. I watched it. I listened to it on the,
on the radio.
Yeah.
Do I know what's coming?
Well, yeah, they're. I checked in again. It's like last time. There's a there's a post.
Yeah.
Cigarette, all that sort of stuff afterwards. But it's an almost 4-hour long video. So I tuned in. This is the start of the video.
Good.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, goodbye, hello, whatever you are. I haven't got my script, so I don't know what order I'm reading stuff out in. Welcome along. This is match day, QPR. 2 we've lost on the trot in the league. 1 we've won, 3 we've won on the trot in the FA Cup, technically, putting out Premier League opposition on the way. This is all going to go tips up because Amazon are probably about to knock on my door in about 5 minutes, so I might have to disappear very quickly and leave you in the very capable hands of young Bradley. At the moment, I was excited earlier. He doesn't like that. I got very excited when I turned the telly on, and I'd left it on Babe Station, but that's my own fault. But I saw that Leeds United were losing 1-0 to Huddersfield in the local derby.
Right, okay.
Less than a minute in.
Yeah. Can I just draw attention to that when he said he didn't have his script in front of him? It was like you with your Levi's delivery, was that?
I got more disturbed when he talked about the capable hands of young Bradley, and I thought, oh, God. And then he's gone straight to the wanking. What's wrong with him?
Maybe he's just got too much time on his hands.
Got too much something, for sure.
Yes.
I think it was a delivery of tissues.
Those big blue rolls that you get, like the sort of catering size.
Do you know what they're called?
Yep.
Come on.
Blue rolls.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a good name for him.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, obviously he's talking there about our game being on. They're still streaming when the result is confirmed. So this is that. The points chat here, by the way, is like some internal prediction thing they're doing when he's saying he's got 3 points. But just to explain that bit.
Yeah, Vardy was back. And hey, come on, Leicester, don't fuck this up. It's finished 1-1 between 10 men, Huddersfield, and I've got 3 points to the weekend.
We're waiting for you. We're waiting for you.
Yeah.
Leeds United, we're waiting for you.
Don't fucking.
You got 6 points.
I got 3 points. For that. I went 1-1.
I've got no points again. I need to start taking this seriously, don't I?
Well, that's got us off to a start, so don't mess it up, Leicester. A win here would do us.
Yeah.
Anyway, what were we saying?
You know, when you watch those videos, like sometimes they pop up on Twitter or the internet or whatever, and a bad thing happens, and you see the thing that happens just before it, like, I don't know, it's a person going to try, I don't know, cross a road, or they swerve out into traffic, that kind of thing. This feels a little bit like we're being voyeuristic on that.
Because watching him be happy for a brief period before the sadness. He did talk about messing up, and the guy didn't turn it into anything about wanking, which was quite
I don't
surprising.
think it was that guy. Sorry. Yeah, I was getting confused
They
which
were
guy.
they were all fairly focused on it last time.
Yeah, this is true.
And the other guy you can hear in that clip is the one who said, well, you know about Leeds and the Welsh players, don't you? Because they all bugger each other.
Yeah.
Really, okay.
Yeah.
It's coming back to me now they're all obsessed.
It's all coming back to me now. Right.
Anyway, so that was pre-game. Should we hear post-game?
Don't tell me that we were the better team. I don't want to know. We were fucking shit. 3 games in a row now. We can't win a fucking egg and spoon race at the moment.
Well, we were awful. We were awful. And do you know what's got worse, Chris? 96 minutes. Southampton just made it 4-3.
Really?
So, yeah, they just scored. So we're bottling it. We are absolutely capitulating because we are robotic. We're going to bottle first place. We're going to bottle second place. We're going to win the playoffs. And we're going to make what should be a marvellous season an absolute disaster.
That's a bit of a change from last week, isn't it? When they were 6 points clear, were they last week?
Still 6 points clear, still better than you. Don't worry about it. It's just a blip. We were the better team for all that time. But now it seems there's a little bit of panic.
They've bottled... No, not a little bit of panic. They've bottled it. That's it. Official ruling.
Is that the end? Is that the rest of the "we're waiting for you" chant? We're waiting for you to overtake us in the league, and we'll lose in the playoffs. Is that how that continues?
I believe so. Full version. So this is him still being not happy.
Which is, let's face it, that's the point of this show.
Yeah, there's a bit of bodily fluid chat thrown in just for good measure as well.
Yeah.
Nelson needs to come off. Chowdhury didn't how is Chowdhury playing right back and not seeing the guy on the right for their goal? It's embarrassing. Their best player is the one you should be watching, and this was the clear threat. Doesn't get to him. Kieran Dewsbury, have a day off, mate. Go on holiday. Go away, because clearly a 2-game break hasn't done you any favours. You've been awful. Fatawu can't string a pass together this game. Mavididi can't keep the ball in play. He got more chance of control. He's got less chance of controlling his bladder than he has a ball this game. He's been awful.
Yeah, it's getting there. We're in the right body area.
He's got less chance of controlling his bladder than
more chance and less chance
than a ball.
And a ball, it is an inflated bladder, isn't it? Full of air.
It's true.
Rather than piss, but all one and the same if you can't beat QPR.
Do you want to hear from him a little bit later? This is a bit of a longer clip. This is, he already mentioned there, I was mentioning Nelson Chowdhury, Dewsbury Hall, Fatawu and Mavididi have already all gone under the bus here. Do you want to hear him do Maresca and pretty much everybody else at the same time?
Yeah.
That's your job as a manager. They turn to you for inspiration. If they're looking at the sideline and the manager's going, "Oh, I wish it was warm. I wish I was back in my own country where it's nice and warm in summer." No, get your picking arms out your pockets and stop scratching your bum and do something about it. Fire them up. Do work on something different in the training ground. I'll say it proudly, Chris, that the training videos are a refreshing sight to see. But I tell you what I'm worried about. It's piddle around, have a laugh, train hard before the game. They don't work on anything else. And I think you're right, Chris. There's certain players in there. Do you know what, Chris? I know this is heat at the moment. It's probably the best time to get an honest opinion out of someone. It's like a drunk voice. They always say it speaks the truth, doesn't it, Chris? Here's what I'd do. Take Hamza out. Put Ricardo back in. At gun, Pratt is obviously injured. It's a shame. Drop him. Get Wilfred Ndidi back in that squad. I don't care if it's a one-legged Ndidi. Get him back in the bloody squad. He's better than that. He's better than a bloody Eunice was today. I mean, bloody hell. One of us could have gone in that position and played it better than him. Drop JJ. Absolutely pathetic passing today. Passing it to nowhere, and not even like a player stop starting and run and give him a fall. He played the ball into a pass and had his teammates going, "What the hell are you doing? Drop him. Get Doyle in." Fatawu, stop shooting. Ban him from shooting. In fact, fine him 50% of his wages every time he shoots from the edge of the box, because he's done it twice and scored. Out of how many attempts, Chris? Rein these players in. Kieran Dewsbury Hall, get your head out your arse, stop thinking you're Madison 2.0 and get on the bench. Go and play with the under-23s and have a reality check, mate, because you are pathetic, rolling around like Madison did, bitching and moaning at the officials like Madison did. You are Kieran Dewsbury Hall. Stop pretending to be someone you're not.
Going well then, is it?
His name's not Kieran.
I know, I did notice that as well. You are Kieran. And stop pretending Kiernan's a name, all right?
It's Kiernan, isn't it? Very much Kiernan.
It's Kiernan. He was getting a bit overheated, a bit like Hoggy, and I think he lost sight of a lot of things.
Although, that said, at the start of that clip, there was a little bit towards Maresca. It all got a little bit stop the boats there, didn't it? which
Yeah,
is
it
good
seems-
for our new pivot to the right, obviously, when we're going for all this, for the right-wing grift.
He seemed to be complaining that Maresca had his hands in his pockets
Yeah.
and looked cold.
And just wanted to be back in his own country.
And so should have been doing something, like changing all the players and putting their best player in the under-23s.
I would say he probably wants Nigel Pearson back.
Mm.
But then the last time I saw Nigel Pearson, he was sitting on he had a back operation, but he was sitting on a garden chair on the sideline at Leeds with his feet out wearing sunglasses as they lost. Seemed to have quite a nice afternoon. So I think even Nigel Pearson has grown out of the idea that you have to sort of throw yourself around the technical area and berate everybody, which...
Throwing yourself around the technical area, once again, they'll be thinking of wanking.
It's a very...
I mean, that is an obtuse reference there, Michael. But, roll with it.
He had his hands in his pockets, though. Who knows what he was actually doing?
Yeah, shuffling your change in there, are you, Enzo? What, your euros?
Do you refer to your crotch as the technical area?
No.
I mean, could this be the episode title, the technical area?
When Arteta is always creeping outside of the technical area, you need to zip yourself back up, get the fourth official over to tuck it back in.
Just popped out there.
Richard Keys, heavily critical. But other things in there then.
What an image. What an image.
I think what else he got annoyed about was that Leicester, as Leeds do, put out training videos. And I think because, you know the sort of thing, like a 2-minute montage of players having a good time, bit of running, bit of shooting. But it's like, it's very nice of them to put that out.
Yeah.
But that's all they're doing. They're just having a laugh. They're not working on anything. It's like, that's not... You're seeing like a tiny bit of it.
Could you imagine how furious he'd be?
As much as we've referred to him as a bald fraud, I'm sure they're doing other stuff.
Could you imagine him stood under a heat lamp, Enzo Maresca, shivering? Because it's so cold in this country, you just can't deal with the climate.
I mean, I am sure they've done other stuff because they are top of the league by a considerable margin with an unprecedented points per game haul. And everybody else is absolutely terrified of them just continuing, even after they've lost 3 in a row. I think everybody except this maniac still thinks like
It's not enough.
they'll probably be all right.
They will. Teams drop points.
Yeah, so I mean, if that is all they're doing in training, maybe other people need to learn from it. But whatever they are doing in training,
They
it's probably
are
fine.
now trending under the points record, by the way, which is 106 for Reading. They're trending towards 102.5 points at the minute based on their points per game.
It would be fine though, wouldn't it? It's probably just don't need to be putting Dewsbury Hall into the under 23s just yet.
And playing Ndidi with one leg.
Yeah, I mean, does he not have a say in this? And this business of, it's like fine him 50% wages every time he has a shot. I think the Professional Footballers Association might have some things to say about the contractual implications of that. Secondly, also, like part of the complaint seems to be that he scored twice doing this. That's a good thing.
But he keeps thinking he can do it now.
He'll do it. I bet he'll score another. I don't even know what he's complaining about. Shooting from outside the penalty area or whatever. There will be another goal like that, I guarantee.
Anyway,
and if there isn't, I'll just say, well, it didn't happen. I don't care.
Right. So let's get back in the technical area.
That's too much football chat. Let's listen to what happens when they're just trying to give us an overall score for the game.
Having listened to you, I dropped from my original score. I took one off, but then I said took one off, not smash one off.
What's wrong with him?
It's just always front and centre. Everything he's thinking about.
What's he doing with his time? I think we know, actually.
You see, he drives you mad because the more you listen to it, the more you start thinking, they've missed an opportunity to talk about wanking there.
Right.
Like over and over again. I'm just listening to it thinking, they could have done it. They could have done another few here. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
I mean, bearing in mind that without his script, he didn't know whether to say hello or goodbye. He probably would benefit from these things being pointed out to him if somebody could just give him a list of euphemisms that have just never occurred to him. There's a whole world of double entendres out there that just haven't occurred to a guy who is obsessed with double entendres.
Should we go from wanking to the Jungle Book?
Can we?
Leicester's like a remastered movie. Sometimes the personnel changes, the voice actors aren't the same, but the story's the same basic. And that's what it's like. You know, like we see these like live actions as like The Lion King and The Jungle Book. Same story. You know the outcome, you know the ending, and that's exactly how our oppositions feel when they play us in the league.
I mean, sometimes we garble shit on here, but
It raises the possibility that he thinks that remade version of The Lion King was real. Because he said it was live action.
right.
And The Jungle Book, I don't know where they got such a big orangutan from, but it's not right. Whatever they did, I don't think it's a good idea to have that.
Does this mean he wants Mowgli in the team?
I don't know. It just made me laugh.
Is it people? The other opposition teams are turning up expecting a cartoon, but they're actually being faced with real people. Is this what he's saying? But they're doing the same things that a cartoon would be doing. Is this on some kind of meta level of like that Leicester are playing like Leicester, but you get there and it's not a videotape. It's the real thing. So you can watch. Is his point that you watch video footage of a team, but then you get to the ground and
It's Jeremy Irons. What's Idris Elba doing up front? I've no idea what's going on. I don't know who else.
Why are the Lions running all over the pitch?
Deary me.
Which should make for an interesting day out as well, because the rugby union team in Leicester is the Leicester Tigers, isn't it? So they've already got a head start on the old Jungle Book stuff.
Mm-hmm. Makes you think.
Does make you think, doesn't it? Right.
Anyway, their final clip of these. I dare say I'll keep coming back to them now. I've found them because
it feels like a bit of a gift from your perspective. This does.
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind there's 4 hours of this,
right?
So that's less of a gift. Thank God for the old double speed.
Yeah.
On
mate, that's still 2 hours.
Yeah, it's quite a lot. It's quite.
You could watch a film in that time.
You could, yeah. Good, or a documentary.
Right, yeah.
I watched a good one the other week, actually, called The Jungle Book.
Yeah,
it was good. Unbelievable stuff that goes on there.
Was it on Babe Station?
I had a wank regardless.
Super.
Speaking of which, Bournemouth fans coming into it now, and the Bournemouth fan they mention here is someone I think you may have spoken to.
Actually, is it Craig?
Actually, yeah.
Craig's come in from the cherries and all departments, or as we like to call him these days, Mr. Penis Head. Evening, guys. Was going to message you after the Leeds draw that they were crying into their dirty socks. Glad I didn't. What the hell went wrong?
Well, that was very dense with jokes. Why is he calling him Mr. Penis Head?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm a bit lost, Michael.
Dan, tell us.
What?
You've spoken to Craig.
Yeah, he's a nice lad.
Did he ask you to send any photos? Did he try to engage you in?
I mean,
chat?
There is video. He does video, does Craig? I think it's Cherries Till I Die, isn't it, that he does? Mm-hmm. Yeah. At no point did his face resemble a glans.
Right. But he didn't try to get you involved in the wank chat?
No, not to the best of my knowledge, no.
Okay, I'm worried it's a circle and they're widening it.
Right.
Yeah. If he starts making an offer,
is quite an image.
If he starts making an offer for said dirty socks, that's when you start to realise you're in a little bit too deep.
You wouldn't cry into your dirty socks, would you?
No, I can think of what you might do.
Well,
isn't that the implication?
That's
the sock is dirty because you've wanked into it,
right.
And then you're crying into it as well. I suppose the only things left are to piss and shit on it, and then and then I don't know how much that's worth on the dark web. But maybe somebody from Leicester Till I Die can let us know. Make an offer.
Baloo didn't deserve it anyway.
No, I'm just going to open the onion router. Bear with me a second. Well then,
should we leave it there?
I mean, it's up to you. I think
that'll do.
I don't really know where to go other than for a shower. After that felt awfully quite heavy. So that's propaganda then.
Sorry,
that's what's been going on in the football and jungle world. So there's that.
Goodbye.
We'll see what next week brings.
You need to borrow this guy's script for how to end a show. Hello, goodbye. Good morning, good night.
I'm
Hello.
off to watch Babe Station. See you in a bit.
The Square Ball Podcast.